The Magnolias are one of those sort of first signs that spring is on the way. And this is a particularly nice one. This is Magnolia kobus. We've got several sort of juvenile plants planted as you head down along Badger Walk, but there's also the big specimen that you'll see as you look down from the head of the valley. It's this pure white, has a wonderful scent as well. Magnolias generally are scented, so you get the benefit of that, as well as obviously these wonderful flowers. So one curiosity of this time of year are the Stachyurus. This is Stachyurus praecox. You can see it flowering in a couple of locations, but in particular as you go along Petrie's path. It has these lovely racemes of flowers on the naked stems, so really quite pretty in these sort of like droplets form. It's a really good sort of woodland shrub, does well in sort of semi-shade, but it's doing really well, as I say, in this position, planted along the path edge. As we head into spring and you get that lovely little bit of sunshine peeping through and a bit of warmth, the gunnera really starts to explode into life. You can see all these wonderful new shoots and new leaves just starting to form, and also the flower spike in the centre. So Gunnera cryptica, the plantation itself is quite a large area, covering the sort of top part of the sort of hydrangea valley, but it never fails to amaze at its speed of growth. So come middle of June, these will be at full height with leaves anywhere up to 3 meters in diameter. So one of the sort of jungle giants of Trebah. Another nice woodland shrub is Corylopsis spicata. It has again these lovely sort of racemes of flowers at this time of year on the naked stems. It looks particularly good set at the back of a border, so if you've got a sort of semi sort of woodland border where you want just something to give you a sort of bit of a backdrop, it looks particularly good, as I say, at this time of the year as we head into spring. It's always lovely looking out over the viewpoint into the middle of the garden from up by the cascade. You always get sort of a different view or different plants of interest at different times of the year. And as you head through into spring, obviously the rhodies start to come into their own. One particular favourite has to be Rhododendron Trebah with that lovely, bright, vivid yellow flowers, those large flowers and large leaves. It really does well and sets itself off nicely against all the sort of reds, pinks and whites as they come into flower. Another really good one is the dark red at the back, Rhododendron arboreum blood red. The red forms are actually from lower levels in the Himalayas, so those areas where it's a little bit warmer, so they tend to be more tender. So really only doing well in the sort of Cornish valleys where we have those sort of milder winters. So the acacias start to flower from February and go right the way through till sort of April time. But one of the prettiest and I guess one of the most abundant flowers is on Acacia verticillata. You can see this flowering around the visitor centre and also down on Stuart Hill, covered in a mass of these tiny yellow flowers. Really pretty, lovely sort of delicate foliage as well, almost sort of pinnate foliage. A really pretty shrub, does well in a sort of hot sunny spot like this. We often think of bulbs as liking sort of hotter, drier, sunny positions, but sometimes there are those that are a bit more tolerant of damp conditions, and this is one in particular. This is Leucojum aestivum, or the summer snowflake as it's commonly known. It's got a really sort of long flowering period as well, so once you get an established stand, you'll get several stems coming out over the period of several weeks, even months, say quite a long flowering period. And they'll naturalise very well as well. You'll see lots of seedlings appearing, and then over time they'll mature and you'll get some flowering from those as well. So really good value, as I say, through the sort of spring and early part of summer. When you think of ginger lilies or Hedychium, you often think of their sort of amazing sort of late flowering blaze in sort of August through into September and those lovely scented flowers. But some also have the benefit of these wonderful seed pods. And this is Hedychium gardnerianum at the top of the water garden. And you can see these really bold, vibrant red seed pods. So as I say, really pretty in their own right. As you walk down through the garden, you'll notice obviously lots of magnolias in flower. One that's probably the most stunning of all are the evergreens, and this is Magnolia adult super silver cloud. It has a wonderful sort of spicy aroma and scent. It's one of those plants that really sort of draws you in, pulls you in with that smell, and just that sheer display of colour looks absolutely stunning at this time of the year. It's got those lovely sort of cinnamon buds as well, which look particularly good before they open. So, and it lasts probably for 4 to 5 weeks, so quite a long flowering magnolia, but it really does shout at you. The great thing about this particular form, Magnolia adult super silver cloud, is that it's actually a hybrid of the original species, adult super. So it's actually a much more compact form, grown in New Zealand and sold to nurseries around the world. And we've got about 5 planted in various locations, as I say, around the garden, particularly as you go down along Beach Path and a couple in other locations. But it really sort of shouts at you, as I say, with that wonderful display. Rhododendrons play such an important role at Trebah, a very iconic plant, very much sort of planted in various different locations, and the arboreums in particular giving that scale and grandeur as you walk the garden. One of the most iconic for us at Trebah obviously is Rhododendron Trebah Gem. It's this lovely soft salmon pink. It was a cross between Griffithianum and Arboreum, grown by a local nurseryman called Richard Gill. He grew several different seedlings from those original parents. One was Growia Pangeric and the other Beauty of Tremo, the most notable to us at Trebah. It's a lovely, say, display at this time of the year, carries on flowering for the next sort of 3 or 4 weeks and gives us this wonderful display of this sort of vibrant sort of salmon pink. One of the most vibrant and colourful and also scented of all our sort of native wildflowers are the primroses. They look fantastic naturalised on a sort of grassy bank like this as you head down on Hedy's Hill. And there's also a few that have actually cross-pollinated with other forms of primrose to give you obviously these odd pink forms as well. But the great thing about them is that they are very early to flower, so they flower before the grasses start to form. So in these areas that we've cut down through the winter, they really showcase themselves, produce lots of seeds, naturalise and find their way around, and give, as I say, that wonderful early display of colour.